Hello! Today I will talk about Guild Wars 2 and how to select your class if you're a new player. Now, this is going to be based on one thing. A, you're a new player who is going to be, or at least start by being a casual player. Or 2, or was it B? You're a new player whose chief goal is to do endgame content, such as fractals or raids, primarily raids. If that is your goal, and your very first class, you want that class to be very useful, what you need to look at is current meta and what's going on there. If you don't care about raids, you will have 5 slots to start with when you buy the game, or 6 depending, or 7, I don't even know. So you have ample opportunity to try out each class, go with your gut, roll whatever you like. For raids, however, entirely different story. Now for Guild Wars 2 there is tons and tons and tons of resources on Reddit, Wikipedia, forums. People ask the same questions over and over, so what you need to do is go and do some research. So here I'll show you the main sites you can go to pick your class, and the main points you can take under consideration when you make the choice. So there is this post here on Reddit. Beginner raid guide, blam. Now what this is talks about how you want to start raiding Guild Wars 2. This assumes that you already know the game. However, even if you don't know the game, you want to select your first class. Thus we're here. Now they rate all classes based on desirability to learn raids with, which means number 1 are not the easiest classes to learn raids with, because their point here is if you choose a class that is too easy in the raid, maybe its role is not very useful, all it does is DPS and stand in one place, or maybe its survivability is too high, so you end up not really learning animations, how to dodge. That would not be a very desirable class to learn the raiding with. So they rated all the classes here, and they suggest Warrior Revenant is the most desirable, followed by Elementalist, Druid Necromancer, then Guardian Thief Mesmer, and Engineer is the least desirable. I can tell you right away, Engineer is in the spot, I think, because its rotation is very complicated. Some people compare it to playing piano, for instance. Warrior Revenant are up here. Again, I think because they're first easy to play, they're melee. You do need to some extent learn movement, dodging, rotations. They give out boons, which your party cannot live without in raids. And, in my mind, for a new player, what's very important, Warrior and Revenant are both heavy armor professions. Which means if you do make Ascended armor set, like this. Actually, this is a Guardian, but that doesn't matter. Guardian, Warrior, and Revenant are all heavy armor professions. So if you make Ascended armor, which most people require for raiding, it is account bound, meaning any character in the account can wear it as long as they can wear it for their profession. So heavy professions can only wear heavy armor. Now, current meta, Berserker stat set, which is Power, Precision, Ferocity, is current meta for all 3 heavy professions. So if your first class is either Warrior, or Revenant, or Guardian, and you did make Berserker Ascended armor, this means you can have all of those 3 classes and you can use the same armor set on all of them, which is really good. If you don't want to play heavy professions, you don't like melee, you don't like the idea of heavy, hitting people with a sword, whatever, you want to be a mage, elementalist, also a good choice. However, that is a light armor profession, and current meta is Berserker armor. However, the 2 other light armor professions are Necromancer and Mesmer. Current meta for Necromancer is Viper stats armor, and for Mesmer Commanders. Therefore, they're all 3 different. So if you go with Elementalist as your first class and you craft that light armor set, Berserker, currently you can only raid on Elementalist in that armor. If you want then to add Necromancer to your repertoire, and you want to make that Ascended armor, which you don't have to, strictly speaking, it's going to be Viper. And Mesmer is going to be Commanders. Now, medium armor professions are Druid, Thief, and Engineer. Engineer meta currently is Viper. Druid, I don't even know, Druid's a bit weird. Different parties, they run different gear Druids. I think Circuit Druid is now a thing also. Then Druid can be a healer, in which case they have a mix of different stats that other classes don't use at all, because no other class is usually healer. There's some idea of healer in Elementalist in some parties, but don't worry about it too much. You can do your own research on that. And Thief would be the Berserker. So again, we have three different stat types. So if you want to be able to share your Ascended armor right away, go with the heavy professions. Another thing to consider for your own personal gratification would be the playstyle. Now, be careful, because if you're trying out each class first, but only on low levels, you have to know that once you reach the final level, level 80, and you get your elite specialization from Heart of Thorns, your playstyle may change dramatically, and you won't get to experience that until that level 80. Now, I don't know how much information you can glean from watching videos of the perfect rotations, but QT does have benchmarks on Reddit. And this is basically the most damage every class can do in certain scenarios. There is a room in Guild Wars 2, which I'll show you in a second, where you can go and try out the DPS. Here they apply all boons to themselves, which is not realistic. Here is normal boons. You can watch their rotations, watch maybe the way the class plays a little bit, and there is a guide. If you want to gear out, a look at the gear that you'll end up going for. Here, for instance, is gear for Reaper. Again, all you have to do is put QT, Necromancer, and they have what gear you want to have. Now, particular name of the gear doesn't matter, the stat set matters. There are different ways to get certain gear. There's a couple ways. It doesn't have to be done in the raids. Recent patch added certain ways to get raid stat gear, so gear with Viper set outside the raids. They're gonna tell you which food you want to use, and again they're gonna show you the rotation, and they're gonna give you the build. And finally, one thing you may be interested in when choosing a class is to look at what your health is going to be. Now, obviously, the lower your health, the more difficult it is to play. The lowest health pool is on Guardian, Thief, Elementalist. Medium is on Revenant, Engineer, Ranger, Mesmer, and the highest is on Warrior and Necromancer. This basically means that whatever would have downed you in one hit on Elementalist will now down you most likely on Necromancer, which is a nice thing. Now, these are so different because classes are different, so certain classes will have more boons on themselves, so the heals are stronger, etc, etc, so their health pool is lower to balance things. Now, say you picked your class, and say you got your armor, say Exotic Berserker or whatever, and you want to go and try out your DPS. The room you would go into is in Lion's Arch. It is in the aerodrome from where you get to, and mind you, you can go to that room I think on any level. So when you're in Lion's Arch, all the way to the south, here's the Fort Mariner where the fractals are, and here's aerodrome waypoint. From here you can go to every raid instance, but also you can go to a special instance where you can test DPS. It's way here in the corner. Now you don't have to have a commander tag to enter either raids or this instance. You do have to have Heart of Thorns though. You will click this thing here, you will create a squad. And then you'll be able to enter. Now, I'm a commander, so I have to toggle it to raid. Woo. There we go. And for funds, I think you can come here on any level. But I mean, your DPS is going to be awful. But if you're seriously considering raiding, and you want to test, you know, how well you can match what's expected, it's not like those numbers on that side are expected really, because during the fight all sorts of things happen. And for instance, if I play,
use the console to begin combat
my
testing.
hello.
If you have any inquiries, come speak to me.
So you can summon a golem, for instance, with 1 million HP, and then you can adjust self, add boons, all boons. And then if you watch the videos, there's also certain enhancements you want to add from other classes. For instance, often warriors will plop down a banner, right? What happened there? Warrior. Banner of strength. So that is realistic to expect in a party setting or raid setting. Once you added all the boons you wanted, and these aren't all of them, you can test out your DPS and you can try and follow the rotation provided on the video. Now, I'm not saying this is a perfect rotation here. In fact, I know it's not, because I just made a mistake, but this is where you can train. And after you deal a certain amount of damage, over here, it'll start showing your DPS, which for me is not going to be high at all. There we go. So just do that. Stop fighting. Right, DPS is only 10,000 and supposed to be just over 20,000. That's because A, I'm making mistakes, B, I don't have food, C, I don't have all the boons I'm supposed to have. However, the gear on my Necromancer is exactly what it's supposed to be, as specified on QT side. So this is something you can do to check that you're in fact ready for the raids. And that's, I think, all I wanted to say on picking your class. So try it out, do your research online, there's plenty of things to look at, and have fun. However, you should expect, fully expect, Guild Wars 2, all the classes are very fun to play. And meta changes. So once you have that one class, you are going to have more. And in fact, if you raid regularly, you will be expected to at least have 2 classes or 3 classes that you can swap between to fill in the roles that your party is missing. And that's it. Bye-bye!